Fancy intro music, yeah! Woo! Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel where today, another Klingon ship, the Quv'Sompek. I assume that's how it's pronounced because there's not an introductionally how to speak Klingon guide in this game. But we are going to talk about it, and wow, the prices. Now this, of course, was provided by the indomitable, the amazing, the almost level 60 Ska, who y'all are familiar with from the last video. Technically, you're not familiar with him because you still haven't seen Ska, because people didn't realize the first part of the last video was a skit. But all that aside, we love repping the Klingon Empire, for sure. So let's watch this thing come out of the dock. Now, this is the rare explorer for the Klingon faction in the 5-star territory. So if you, like me, are nowhere near this, enjoy. The closest we're going to get unless they decide to hit us. Right there. Well, I will say the design reminds me a little bit of a mix between some stuff that we've seen in Star Trek, the actual TV show, Star Trek the game, as in Star Trek Online and Star Trek Armada, and just a nice, unique visual representation of the Klingon Empire. I would really like to say that the 5-star models, for the most part, I really do enjoy. I think this is an absolutely gorgeous model. It makes sense. At least the neck is not like this little finger-thin, pencil-thin mustache-looking thing. It actually looks like it's got a little beef to it. And look at the engines. Naughty. There's some thick thighs on there. Look at the thick thigh. Ah! Thick thighs save lives. Thick nacelles bring... Anyway, we're going to move past that. But anyway, we're going to take a look at a few different things today about this, including things like the firing pattern, which if you're curious on the firing pattern of the ship, here it is at the top left of your screen. 2, and then 2 big ones. So it is not the same level of like crazy firepower that we're used to seeing from, say, a Pilum or a Tribune, but the amount of damage these guns are producing is quite high, significant, in fact. So I think you're going to enjoy seeing so far. Now, we've got Sky here who decided to, like, brag about how many Pilums they have. Yes, nice Pilums. And then you see their Corvus over there. But here it is at Tier 1 and just has a Yuki, Captain Killy, and then Lorca crew, which we can talk about crewing in a little bit, but focus on the early stage. You see coming out of the dock for this particular player, 86 million power. I mean, that's going to go toe-to-toe and most likely destroy any 4-star epic, even maxed. You know, we've seen Tier 3 uncommons and Tier 4, well, I've seen Tier 4 for sure. Tier 4 uncommons beat max epics from 4-star. This thing, though, is just on a new level on its own. Now, prices, as you can imagine, pretty daggum expensive. With $200 billion to upgrade one part, starting up at Tier 1. So going to a Tier 2 part, pretty hefty. But you can see the minimum max damage on this, the armor piercing, the shield piercing. It obviously has a lot of stats to back it up. You know what I mean? Its minimum damage at Tier 1 is, you know, what you're hoping a Katinga's doing at like Tier 5. So you really like to see some of this. Now, it will even start off decently priced in terms of early on, where you're not investing too much into it in terms of uncommons. They did scale back the 5-star economy a little bit because one of the first complaints going in was how ridiculously pricey and expensive it was. So they have worked on that a little bit, but you're still spending, what, $1 trillion? $1 trillion? Tritanium to get this thing to Tier 2. So don't be confused out there if you're watching. This is not a cheap Klingon vessel. This is the pride of the fleet until you get to the Rotarn, which nobody has yet. We hope to be the first one on this channel with the Rotarn. You can see upgrading here, 40 million hull health right now, going through the various hull levels. And then you can see the critical damage, or the critical chance of 22% with a 300% critical damage bonus. Now, for those curious, the officer bonus will go up to 600% on this ship. So for you who are at 3-star ships, like on your Enterprise, 300% is your max officer bonus. With the 5-star and with this, it is a 600% max officer bonus. So you're getting a lot from that in terms of increased damage, increased hull health if you get more officer slots, and everything scales greater. And then there's Scott showing off his Tier 7 Corvus for comparison's sake. Not just to brag that they have a Tier 7 Corvus. Nah, just to show it off. This man needs a system, I'm telling you. He needs his own system. Tier 7 Corvus. Wow, I don't even have my Valdor yet. This man's got a Tier 7 Corvus. Oh, the Sanctus. We haven't talked about that yet. But anyway, showing off the Sanctus, the rare version of the Romulan at tier 5. But put in some crews here. You see just a basic Armada crew, just filling in some randoms, getting in his officer bonuses. Now with maxed officers, it's pretty easy. Not having to go to say tier 12 to get your officer slots, whereas at a lower level, you might need that as well. But this is just kind of showing you what the Sanctus and what the Quv'Sompek can give you simply early on. If you're a whale interested in getting these ships or interested in maybe going after these, I don't know how soon you would want to go after that. But anyway, we got to swap back over because we don't need that anymore. Bam, transition. So we got the firing pattern up. I do want to change the firing patterns. I want to show you the overall tier 1 through tier 5 costs. If you wonder why I'm looking over to your right, it's because I'm looking off screen to add this real quick. But here you go. This is the tiering cost for the Quv'Sompek from tier 1 to tier 5. You see the total cost, 55 trillion tritanium. Now remember, this is raw cost, and we're using stfc.space to pull these numbers. And what I mean by raw cost is when you're looking at your game, there's a lot of things that will lower the cost of what you're doing to upgrade. You've got, for example, when it comes to repairs, your docks are going to give you a repair speed bonus, but also a cost efficiency bonus. So you have research that will lower the cost of various upgrades to the ship. So just to show a couple of those, let's hit our research tree. For anybody who has forgotten where some of this could be. But if you go into, say, your territory tree, you scroll over to the right, we have some researches that will help with upgrades. So optimize, reducing the cost of parse steel, titanium, and lithium for ship components. And there are technically ships that would use parse steel in that specific scenario. So ultimately, we're just talking about these 5-star ships being how big and how strong they are. Crew-wise, well, crew-wise is going to vary because how you crew ships up in 5-star is pretty different compared to how you would crew in 3-star. One, most players who are even near that at this time, which is November 16th, 2021, have got maxed crews. So obviously how you would crew something out is different, whether you would be my level or their level, because I've got tier 3s and tier 4s. But I will say that some of the focus does remain on, say, the Trinity officers. So just to pull this up real quick, we talk about this being a very common enterprise set. We're currently on ISS Jelly, but the TOS crew, which they are hopefully sourcing better here in the near future. I do like some of the sourcing that's gotten better. I would like to have some specifics to get after these easier. But I've got a tier 3 TOS Uhura, I've got TOS Kirk, and then Marcus would be a good anti run for any explorer, even if you're going against a Quv'Sompek, or if a Quv'Sompek is going against, say, a Corvus. Anything that you can do to use mitigation to grow is going to be a big focus for you. And using things like Yuki. Yuki is, to me, invaluable because you start getting these shield numbers be so high. So you can see my ISS Jelly currently is at 2 million hull health and 1 million shield. But if you remember from the Quv'Sompek, we were looking at the Quv'Sompek have 40 million hull coming out at tier 1. Remember, Yuki as an officer is a straight 10% reduction to the overall shield health. So what you're getting from that is, well, it's self-explanatory. What you're getting is an incredibly efficient, incredibly useful reduction in terms of how their ship performs. And all you simply need is Yuki as captain, and Yuki will do the rest. So you get I feel like probably your best value or your bang for your buck in this scenario by having a Yuki-like officer because of that. But there's other ways you can run this as well. I do love, and I'm just going to put this back on the screen real quick. I do absolutely love that Scott showed off this loadout because I feel like it's underrated and not talked about a lot. But running Yuki, Lorca, and then Killy. So you're getting the shield strip while also getting a bonus to hull breach, which we already saw, or a bonus with hull breach to criticals that you already saw that this ship has got a 22% critical chance. And then using Killy to raise your mitigation, and then using Yuki to just shield strip. Ignoring mitigation, which it's only an option, but I love that this crew got shown off so that we can ignore shields completely, get rid of those because of such the high shield numbers. You can see this one here. Let me move it to the right so you can see a little bit better. 12 million shield, 40 million hull. You gotta be able to get rid of that as quickly as possible so that you can have an advantage over the ship, because that's a lot of hull points to be digging through. That's nasty. There's only one word for it, and that's nasty. But you can do it by using certain crews like Yuki, who gets undersold a lot at that level. And remember, if you're fighting Quv'Sompek, I would definitely recommend Yuki and Marcus, because not only do you get Marcus's maxed, helping you get that max mitigation for your side, or dumping their mitigation down, but you're also going to get a 15% shield strip by combining that with Yuki. So there's several different things that you can do here crew-wise, but as always, I definitely recommend you hit me up personally if you need crewing advice. Hopefully you enjoyed watching this video to see this very expensive rare ship as the whales continue to ascend closer and closer to the epics. Can't wait to see when we get our first Enterprise D. Who's going to be the first whale to get an Enterprise D in the game? Because, I mean, that's got to be the goal, right? I mean, obviously, I prefer you to get the Rotaran because we rock the Klingons. But somebody's got to be going for the Enterprise D. Who's going to be the first one to send me an Enterprise D? It's on y'all, whales. Calling you out. Drop the Enterprise D. Right here. If you enjoyed this video, live long and prosper. Smash the like button. If you're curious about more of this type of content in terms of ships and officers and abilities, comment section down below. We'll be glad to help you out. And that's it. Hope you enjoyed it. And thank you out to the whales like Sky and other whales who have sent us this type of material, because Lord knows I'm too far away. And Scopely don't give me anything to get there. I don't think they want us there, to be honest with you. So, love y'all. Deuces. That's me.
An even better outro than the intro. For the Empire and glory to your house.